Welcome to Rugby 100 Club. I'm your dude, Matt Courtwright, and with me today is Justin Hickey, the head coach for Notre Dame. Welcome, sir.
Matt, how are you?
Good. It's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too. Appreciate you having me back on.
Absolutely. It's just us this time. We don't have the chaos going on before a MLR game there in Chicago last time.
It's calm. It's calm. It's post MLR calm. It's pre collegiate rugby calm. Before and after the storm, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm sure you're still busy as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, though, huh?
It's the summer. It's funny because it's like any like seasonal occupation. It's planning. It's wrapping up the year before, and it's getting to do all the things that you don't really get to do when you're off and going in the season. So I was in the office this morning doing Zooms with kids, one from the UK, one actually from Indiana. We don't get so many of those guys, but it's kind of recruiting and fundraising in the summertime. And then once it hits now August time, it's start turning your attention to the season, and the students will be back before we know it.
Okay, so those that are listening and watching, fun fact: we're not late, not very late, but we're just a wee bit late. You got to put in the "wee" part, original. And he got stuck behind. You tell the story, bro.
I ran home. We're going on vacation tomorrow, so I went to our gym here on campus after my Zooms. Ran home, started kind of packing and getting the car ready, and then I come back and I'm right on time, and I come around the corner by the golf course, and I'm cruising up towards the office, and about 30 cars just stopped, brake lights, tail lights, and we're lined up behind a horse and buggy. And Matt, who's familiar with the area here in the Midwest, like most people would have thought, and I probably did in the moment, that maybe it was some Amish folks taking in a nice Saturday on campus, but it wasn't. It looked like it was some young bridesmaids heading to the Basilica for a wedding. That's only what I can assume.
Only in the Midwest, you're stuck behind the Amish in a buggy. Like, he's not making this up, people. They out there in this area, like probably what is I want to say, I'm gonna butcher it. Shipshewana. Yeah. It sounds like some Doobie Brothers song. It's there's literally, those that haven't been out there, there's a lane for buggies and there's a lane for automobiles, and it's legit just that normal out there. It's pretty mind-blowing for those that have never seen it,
Yeah, your Pacific Northwest, you get the animal crossings. I don't know if you get moose crossings up there, but you get the
not a lot, but yeah,
and the deer crossings, and yeah, we have the horse and buggy crossing signs when you get out into the cornfields of northern Indiana here.
We had a blast, man. When we were back there, my wife hadn't seen them. I mean, she grew up there, for God's sake, and she hadn't seen Amish life, and she's like, so how do we know the Amish houses from the normal houses? And I'm like, there's no lights.
There's no power lines. There's no lights. That's right. Yeah, we've done a couple actually on vacation, kind of out east of here, with some family, and we went to some Amish bakeries, and I thought it was just going to be maybe a modern bakery or something, but it was just a little building, outbuilding next to the house, and there's kids running around barefoot. There's no lights on. There's no energy. It's cash only. And that was when it really opened up my eyes too. When we were driving around, I'd start to look around. There's no power lines. There's no lights on. So yeah, they're among us out here, and we see them in Costco, and they cheat though. When they come to Costco, they bring great big vans, and they pile out of the vans, and they store up, for a couple weeks, I'm sure.
Oh man, I'm not gonna lie. I want to see that next time I'm out there. I'm gonna be hanging out in Elkhart at the Costco, like wondering what's going down.
Yeah.
Oh, so good, man. Yeah, geez, I think the last time I got to see your bright eyes was Easter last year in Chicago. You got
That's right.
You got the pass with the Queen and Sarah, and came out for the holiday, which those that don't know, the Midwest celebrate religious holidays pretty strong. So for Justin to get the thumbs up from Sarah was a big deal. We'd been working on it.
Yeah, it was. It worked out really well. I think what sold her was it was a rare year where our kids spring break didn't overlap Easter, so it was a good enough excuse to drag them along over the Easter holiday. They at least had that off to make up for not being able to do anything on their spring break. So while I was hanging with you, she was hanging with the girls, and they did join us later at the match as well.
That's awesome. That's so good, man. That was a lot of fun. I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't, but hey, let's fake it till I make it.
None of us do, right? It's learn as we go.
Right? It's like anybody that says I'm prepared, you're like, well, you might have a game plan, but you're not prepared. Like, yeah. Oh man. So okay, so I'm looking over my notes, okay, and I got some good questions to ask you, like, but before I start asking silly questions, how about the fact that you got some guys that have really performed on and off the pitch? We're talking, academic All-Americans. That's huge. Not everybody gets to brag about that, Justin, and you do. So, I have a little video here actually that I made that I want to play out because I couldn't. I mean, it's a short video. It's nothing crazy, but I was really like on and off the pitch, man. Like you're making shit happen, and I want to play this real quick, and you guys can see a little bit. You might have to pause it on your own. Oh, and Justin's been nominated multiple times for being top 20 coach in the league. So, big deal. I don't want to tell you that part because I know you'd be humble and such. So, I got to brag for you.
No, I appreciate it. It is cool to see, and I am so proud of these guys. I mean, I spent. I myself wasn't the best student. I love to learn, and I continued my education. Even after my undergrad, I got a master's degree and pursued 4 years of a PhD at.
I was gonna say you're like 2 classes away, kind of shit.
Yeah, but I wasn't a great student. I got better the older I got, and the more mature I got. And my coaching career, and I don't mean this in any disrespect for any other places I've been, but I kind of started out at Davenport, which was really a non-traditional university that was going back to their traditional bachelor degree program roots, and have some really, really strong programs up there in Grand Rapids, but went from there to Clemson. When I got there, they were really knocking on the door of kind of top 20 public, and it was getting more and more competitive to get into the university there. And of course, to come up to South Bend, where Notre Dame has been known for its academics for a long time. I think that maybe I started to appreciate, what these student athletes go through, not just to play a sport like rugby and commit to something outside of their classroom time here, but the work that they really do in the classroom. So to see them couple that with their rugby, it's honestly, I love seeing them do well on the field and be successful, but I'm most proud. I find myself bragging more about, the academic All-American stuff, where these guys are doing internships, where they are in their professional careers. Some of them continue to pursue rugby after school. We've had some guys that have put it on hold and pursued Major League Rugby or pursued Premiership Rugby and international play. And then we've had guys that have had to say, this is it for my rugby career here. I've had fun, and now I'm off to do investment banking or consulting or engineering or whatever it might be. I love seeing how successful those guys are in their professional careers and how well they do off the field. It's not a fluke. It can't just be, oh, I'm going to get serious when it's time to graduate. We've got freshmen that have been um, uh, collegiate All-American or academic All-Americans, all the way up through their senior year, like four-time academic All-Americans, which is pretty remarkable to have that level of consistency.
That's incredible, honestly. Yeah, not I don't know, man. It's something about that Notre Dame life and them kids studying. I remember when I first met you. Actually, you were breaking it down on how the boys like they got to earn to play. Like you don't have a ton of funding like the football team has and such. And
Yeah, I mean, we're very lucky to have really generous donors. We've had an endowment that was established for years, and we're able to kind of feed that to supplement our cost to operate. But there's still, even our donors want the students to have a skin in the game, so they're still paying a dues per semester, and that helps supplement some of the travel and the equipment and supplies and kit and other costs. I mean, it's great that they're not having to like carry the whole load like some programs are similar to us. We do get a lot of help, but we ask them to call donors and to thank them, and we ask them to be involved in that process, because hopefully they'll leave here having appreciated what was provided for them, and they'll give back themselves. So we want them to be to take an active part in that, and that's it's not to say that other teams here aren't doing their community service and aren't involved in their own maybe donor culture, but our guys are really seeing the outcome of that work. And you're right. I mean, we don't have tutors available to us. We don't have block scheduling, so we can't really maneuver, when we're going to practice and when they're going to be in class. So they've got to do the best they can to build their schedule, to make themselves available pretty much nightly between 5 and 7. And, if they're missing a lab on Friday because we're traveling and they get it excused through the administration here, they might have to make up that lab, or if their professor says they got to get their work done in advance. It's always kind of whatever the professor says, and we tell them, look, if you're communicating, you're proactive, you're letting them know well enough in advance, you're not skipping class otherwise, you're staying on top of your studies.
yeah.
9 out of 10 professors are going to say, hey, good luck, safe travels, go Irish. But if you're falling behind and you're skipping and you're not getting work in, that's going to be a difficult conversation to go approach a professor and ask them for some more excused time away. But the guys do a pretty good job, and we do our best to just remind them and emphasize it almost daily. It's get your stuff done, because we want them, when they show up at 5, we want them to be able to put all that other stuff behind them, have a release for 2 hours and enjoy and escape from the rigor here, and be able to have fun, but also focus, because we want them to perform, right? So
Right.
we want to get the best out of them for those 2 hours. And if they're stressed out about an assignment they have due that they've been procrastinating on, or makeup work, or a test that didn't go so well, we're going to get a distracted, preoccupied kind of brain, and we want to do our best to make sure we help keep them on track as well.
I'm glad I wrote these questions down and you just covered one of them. So I appreciate the snot out of you. Like, how do you coach this? Like, okay, you nailed it, man, right out the gate. I love it. It's like, how do you recruit? That's something I've been so curious to ask you. Is like we started this conversation. You're talking about your meetings earlier with the UK kiddo and a local guy too, and I shouldn't say kiddo because they're grown men now.
We all call
but
them kids. Older we get.
Yeah. I mean, we all thought we were grown at that age too, so there's that. But how do you recruit? Like, how do you keep your ear? How do you know everything? That's something about coaches I don't know that enough people ask is like, how do you know everything? There's just stuff like I'll bring up to a coach and they're like, oh yeah, I know. Like, how do you know such things?
It's a lot, and I'll give credit to Dave LaFlame at Brown, who really kind of mastered the art, I think, of recruiting at these high academics, and probably before him, Alex Magleby at Dartmouth did a really incredible job of getting some talent up there, and they still do. Kyle Sumption in Hanover. In many cases, it's a numbers game. Dave's created some great relationships at Brown where he's maybe got a little bit more support from admissions, but in order to get those numbers, and I mean numbers of kids interested in your program and interested in your school and applying, you've got to create some awareness, right? So when I first got here, that was kind of like, I was sort of told, oh, Notre Dame can't recruit. Well, I can't go scout a kid at the NAI and say that kid's the best player on the field right now. I'm going to give him a scholarship and we're going to get him into Notre Dame. I joke, and we joke a lot of the folks that I just named and some others, like, it would be nice if they had their GPA on the back of their jersey, because that's really like what we're looking for first is like, okay, what's your GPA? Because they have to present themselves and make a competitive case for admissions first and foremost, and then we'll do our best to support their application. But when I first got here and I was told that, my kind of first goal was, okay, well, they're doing it at Stanford. Stanford's changed over the years, but they're doing it at Dartmouth. They're doing it at Brown. They're doing it at Harvard's still working really hard over there. Colton Carriaga is. They're doing it at Cal's got some support, but Cal's high academic and UCLA is high academic, and some of these other state schools, and I'm sure I'm missing a ton. I mean, West Point and Army, they've taken the step up, or West Point and Navy, sorry, they've taken a step up to varsity, but they were doing the same thing, trying to identify these same kind of profile academic and athletic kids. My goal was to just get Notre Dame into that kind of conversation. So when kids were looking at Dartmouth and they were looking at Brown and they were looking at Harvard and they were looking at Army, Navy, they were also looking at Notre Dame. What gets on kids' radar? It's obviously on-field success. It's facilities. It's student life experience and what's the university kind of culture and community like. And I think we did a good job kind of building all those things up. I mean, you were able to see the facility when you were here for a visit. A lot of kids still haven't seen it, which is crazy to me. And we put it on our website and we try to get it out there, and we stream all of our games, and you don't get the full picture of the facility on the stream, but it still amazes me. There's kids that come visit and they're like, we had no idea you had this here. We had no idea you had a stadium and a press box and covered bench and your own field and all this. But then there are others that are starting to see that more and more. So we've seen that awareness grow. I think we can really say we are in that mix of those schools. I talk to Dave frequently about recruiting. We have a lot of the same kids that are applying, same with Dartmouth and with Harvard, and sometimes with Michigan and with UCLA and with Cal. So your kids are now seeing, okay, these are kind of, you want high academics, you want good rugby with good facilities and good funding and good college experience. And again, it's taking nothing away from, we've got some fantastic university sponsored programs at NCAA D2 on down to NAIA. But we tend to be attracting the kids that are looking Ivy, or the kids that are looking, kind of blue chip, D1 kind of Power 4 sort of institutions. So that's really it, kind of a long way of saying. I mean, I mentioned it's a numbers game. We talk to as many kids as we can. There's a lot more agencies out there now, so that's changed. Years ago, I would have thought agencies wouldn't have really benefited us a whole lot. I would have thought Major League Rugby wouldn't have really benefited us a whole lot. That's another way that, I think we've really gotten a lot of exposure, all of us over here. And maybe that we wouldn't have had the international interest that we do. The university continues to have record number of international applicants annually. So we're one of the beneficiaries of that as well. But we're seeing more and more interest, and, probably the same that whether I was at Clemson or at Davenport, one thing that hasn't changed is the relationships with coaches, relying on, Peter Baguetta at Gonzaga to say, hey, this kid would be a good fit, and knowing, is this kid a good fit for Dartmouth, or is this kid a good fit for Notre Dame, or is this kid,
right,
a good fit for Boston College? And so he's able to reach out and kind of go, hey, I think you'd really like this kid, and I think you'd really like it there. Keeping up those relationships with parents. I've had long relationships with parents that I've met, again, all the way through the various places that I've been. And what I always say is, like, it's the coaches that are going to be your recruiters 365 days a year, or maybe the parents are 365 and the coaches are kind of in season, right? Like, they're the ones that are going to be watching and going, hey, have you thought about Notre Dame, when they start talking to their kids, and where we might get a Zoom with them and we might get a campus visit. Really, it's the coaches that are identifying kids that, meet the academic standard, might be a good fit kind of culturally, and, we hope that they're a good rugby player on top of it all.
Yeah, it's like you have this list. It's like, I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't think people realize it, to be honest.
It is, and then the last thing is they got to get in, right? So, like, we'll do our best to work with them through the process. And Notre Dame has a great group of admissions counselors that are kind of deployed all over the world, and they all have different regions in different parts of the U.S. and in different parts of the world. We've gotten lucky where we've built some pretty good long-standing relationships with a few of them, and they're real familiar with rugby, and they're familiar with a lot of the schools that some of these kids are coming from that are maybe traditional rugby schools here in the U.S. or overseas, and in some of your more rugby playing or expat kind of countries. And so we'll, help kind of prepare them through the process, and these agencies do a good job with that with them as well. And then we got to kind of leave it in the hands of God, if you will, and hope that, something jumps off the page. But we do our best to make sure we stay in contact with folks here and encourage them to stay in contact, just like you would in a job interview, just kind of stay out front, continue to send materials, just remind them, hey, I'm still here, I'm still interested. And,
that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask you, do you have suggestions for the students that want to come on to Notre Dame? Do you have suggestions to give them that are like cliff notes, if you will?
Sure. I mean, one I made this morning, it maybe sounds kind of simple, but come to campus, and not only just come to campus, take a tour when you're on campus. So if you take a tour on campus, you're in the system. When you go to apply, you've got an ID number, you've got an application number, but you also have your tour ID, and they can see, okay, he's visited. And, some of the counselors are probably more active with, I'll give them some feedback and say, hey, we met via Zoom, or we went out to lunch, or we, spent some time together, and they can kind of include these touch points, and they'll see how engaged that student is, where it's not just a sight unseen application, which is fine. We have kids that get in all the time, sight unseen. I mean, there's different circumstances. You're way out in the Pacific Northwest. Maybe you're not going to get a chance to get to, the Midwest to visit during your kind of your college search, or you're on the other side of the world in Hong Kong or Singapore. Maybe you can't make it over. Those kids, we still want those kids to apply. They can still do other things to remain engaged and active. I think it goes without saying nowadays the essays are huge. I think it's important to kind of, do your research, find out really what are Notre Dame's values and how can you kind of include those into your essay. And, everybody wants to have some remarkable story, overcoming adversity, or just something that happened in their life that, really is a compelling narrative, but not all of us do. So at least if you can align, some of the values and some of maybe the current sort of focuses that that the university is looking for, and that's what we try to help with. Like, what are maybe some of the hot button topics or buzzwords, or just again sort of culturally that we want to make sure they include in their writings. And then we have supplemental questions too that are more kind of Notre Dame specific, and really that's where kind of they can really drill into some of those values. But it's important for them to have high scores. It's important for them, to be involved in a lot of things in their high school career, whether it's service or if they're part of a church, or you don't have to be Catholic to go to school here, but it certainly doesn't hurt. But if you're not Catholic, showing that you have kind of that service mindset, because that's very big on campus here as well. And just being as well-rounded as you can. I mean, it maybe sounds a little bit strange, but we actually ask them to sort of not really highlight rugby in their application or in their essays. Let us do it and highlight it, through the counselors. Is we'll end up sometimes with an applicant who their letter of recommendation was from their history teacher, who's their varsity rugby coach, and then their guidance counselor, who's their JV rugby coach, and then their whole essay is about their rugby. They broke their arm in rugby and how tough that was. Like, that might be a great story, but it's just too much rugby. I would say the same thing if they were really into music. Don't make it all about music, right? Whatever that topic is, like, make sure that you present yourself well-rounded, and then let us kind of highlight the rugby.
Okay. Yeah. Touch on the rugby maybe, but not make it your focal point, because you're going for an education. You're not going for rugby.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I'm gonna spit into. I'm gonna turn this conversation a little bit, and I'm gonna point out the fact that if you are on campus and you're a rugby player, and it's around the afternoon, and hit up the social media, see if there's any practice going on. 5 p.m. if those who don't know, because that's how I met you. It's like I was on campus, bought this shirt right here, and I hit up your social media, and I was like, "Hey, man, you're for us large humans, because there's not a whole lot of us. It is very generic stuff in the bookstore. Even though the bookstore is awesome, you must experience that. It is one of the best bookstores in all of America, I'll say. And I grew up as a Miami fan, so that's taken a lot for me to say it. And and then I hit up social media. You were rolling. I had no idea it was you, of course, as you're incognito, if you will, and come up on campus, and I was with my wife's cousin. We were staying down the street in Elkhart, and come up on camp. You're like, yeah, come on through. Like 5 o'clock, we're gonna be out on the pitch. I'm like, oh my, like a little kid, man. I was like, I get to see practice too. This is epic, So with my cousin, he played some rugby in high school in the Elkhart area, and he was with us. First time I'd met the guy. The day of, and we're coming on the pitch to meet you and your crew, your boys, and he's like. And I'm just walking up like, yay, it's great. And he's like, bro, we're walking on the pitch. What are you doing? I was like, well, just stay out of their way. They haven't started practice yet, guy, And wander over there, end up meeting your I can't remember his name. He ended up knowing a couple coaches from the PNW that we knew in common. And I want to say his name was Dave, but I'm probably butchering it.
It might have been, was it South African? Was it Kruger?
Yes. Yes, it was. And it was just an eye opener, and then I got to watch you run drills and see the way that you run a pitch, and all the crazy young men, and it was an absolute blessing. I was a pig in shit, if you will, and my cousin was just beside himself. He was just like blown away that we got to hang out with you and see the boys, scrimmage and practice, and it was just so much fun. I thank you for being such open arms, Justin, because only in rugby does it seem anyways that you can have these kind of interactions without really knowing the other person. And then later on, like I think it was Chicago for the championship later on that year.
Yeah.
And Phil Groves, which is one of the owners of Chicago, for those that don't know, he invited my queen and I up to the suite. And I Chicago is one of my favorite teams. I helped them get their swag before they ever had swag, so they tend to treat me pretty amazing when I go there, to say the least. And Phil had done just such a thing, invited us up to his suite, and we're up there watching, just kind of taking it all in. This is a new view. I've never been up here with all the proper people, if you will, for those that don't know. And I look over, and you and I see each other, and we're like, and you're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, what are you doing here? Like,
yeah, that was good.
That was so
good.
healthy.
No,
So yeah.
I mean, I reflect back, and you're exactly right. I mean, I think that's the culture of rugby, right? Like, we tell everybody, like, it doesn't matter where you are, you got a house, a couch to sleep on, or you got a warm meal, or whatever it is that you need. So I mean, it's the rugby way, and my coaches are fantastic. They're my best friends, and they do a great job. Like, when they see people walking up, making sure that they go over and say hello. Especially, like, if I'm preoccupied with the guys, they don't want anybody to stand there and feel like kind of awkward, or so they do a good job always coming over and saying hi. And it's the Notre Dame way too. Like, there's it's a pilgrimage for a lot of people to come visit campus here, whether it's a football weekend or in your case, they're kind of in the proximity and passing through. So we want folks to feel welcome and to have access to us too. And like you said, it struck up a friendship. So it's never miss an opportunity to say hello to someone. And I will say, because we weren't super prepared for you, we probably do have some more gear in your size that I'll make sure I've got next time we see you, because we've got it kind of spread out in a few different places, and more of our stuff was over here. But our athletic trainer Matt kind of took you over and got you guys some stuff too. And yeah, it was
it's
was
funny.
a
I've
neat
been keeping up with him
encounter.
on social media too. Like, he's been a busy bee himself,
Yeah. It's cool too. Kind of speaking of him, like, he's this was his first rugby job, so this was his first rugby experience. Obviously he's worked with sports teams as an athletic trainer, and he loves it. So he does a lot of the stuff out at the Moose in Elkhart. So if the high school national championships are in town, he's doing that. Midwest championships. Yep, that's right. He's always active and involved. He loves it. I mean, athletic trainers, especially athletic trainers like Matt, they love the action. And what other sport are you going to get more action than rugby? You go to a softball tournament and sit on a cooler all day, or you can come to rugby and run an infirmary, throughout the day. So
that's a fact. That's a fact. Matter of fact, I wanted to ask you. So, like, this is how small the world gets, right? It's sometimes, especially in our world of rugby, it's just like it gets tiny so quick. So I kind of run like a half-ass rugby house. Like, I get players that are kind of in between contracts at times or such like that, and they end up living with me for a minute, and get them back on their feet, or either that, or like, get them together and push them out again. I got a guy coming your direction in Chicago, actually. He used to play with Utah. His name is John Dupree, and he's been over here, and he's playing for WAC, Washington Athletic Club.
Yeah.
And he's got a sweetheart that's playing in Chicago for the Lions all of a sudden. She was in Wales, so like Chicago's a lot closer, if you will, right? And so he naturally just goes and visits her in Chicago, and they drive over to Elkhart for the Sevens tournament.
No way.
Yeah, I'm like, and my cousin he just moved out here from Elkhart, right? Mishawaka, whatever. It's all the same area to me. But he just drove out here. John flies back there, goes to Elkhart, goes to the Sevens tournament with the Lions, and I'm just like, I bet you Hickey was there. You know what I mean? Like, or at least somebody from Notre Dame. And I'm like, what's the chances? It's just a small world. Just blew my mind.
It is a small world, and yeah, Matt probably would have been representing us there. He's usually always texting me if there's a kid or someone sees his Notre Dame shirt. We had a bunch of thunderstorms, so I don't know if they told you that. So I didn't make it out.
Brutal.
And I think I can't remember exactly what we were doing, but I remember dodging storms most of the day and texting some of the guys that were out there. Like, they didn't get all the games in; they got the ones that mattered in. But yeah, we had a crappy string of a couple weekends of kind of scattered storms all day. But hopefully they enjoyed their time out at the Moose and see some good rugby.
He says it was a great pitch, and I was like, if I remember right, that's 2 grass pitches you guys got there, so it should have been great.
It's beautiful, and I think our buddy Rob was out there as well.
Oh, Hammer, okay.
Watching one or two of his boys play for the Bombers as well.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, I forget that Rob would be out there.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Matter of fact, I made a little video of our first meeting. I'm going to play it real quick. It shows a little bit of you guys practicing. It was a great time. Thank you. I can't say enough about it.
And I forgot that was sevens as well. So that was that was springtime. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, I think I told you after we got a little bit more schmoozy, if you will, that I wore my Miami socks and got a picture under touchdown Jesus and was waiting to get struck by lightning. You know.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Oh, so good, man.
So what are you going to do on August 31st when the Irish are down in Miami Gardens to kick off the football season?
I'll root for Miami, bro. Sorry. Yeah, football's different than rugby if it comes down to it. You know, I'll root for you for rugby, but football team, I got to stick to my roots. I got to stick to my roots.
I get it. That should be a fun one, though.
You know what was cool? Okay, so a week ago, like, this is not to brag or nothing, but I got the opportunity of a lifetime last week, and I went to Ireland, and on my birthday, which was last Friday, so a week ago.
Happy birthday, belated.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, happy birthday to you.
July
12th.
Yeah,
July 12th. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're 13 days apart. Look at us. I mean,
are you a Cancer? Are you a Cancer?
I'm a Leo.
Yeah, so you.
I mean, I'm a Leo. Look at me, bro. I love this bright light. Let's go. Yeah. And you being the coach as the caregiver, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so we're okay. Of course, you know, my queen, born in Notre Dame, born in South Bend, and just down the street, literally from where you're at. And so we're going through the Guinness. We did the Guinness and Jameson tour on my birthday. I think it's massively appropriate that I get Irish drunk on my birthday, right?
That's
so
awesome.
We're going through Guinness and we hit the store, and she comes around the corner and she's like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "Okay, what?" She doesn't get. She's kind of unique. She doesn't get excited about products in a store very often, and she pulls out this shirt, and it's Guinness with Notre Dame teamed up, and it says "Go Irish" on the back. We got her a T-shirt. We got my best bud Angie a T-shirt because they're both Irish fans. Up, down, left, right, center. And I was like, "Get out of here!" And it's all embroidered. I mean, if I could have found one in this big boy size, I would have been rocking it. But instead, I'm rocking the apparel I got.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man!
I've got one. Cool. I've got a sweatshirt with the Guinness toucan on it, and it's wearing like a Notre Dame helmet, and it's a cool sponsorship. It's funny, because universities, I guess. Well, I don't know if all universities. I assume most are not supposed to, but our university can't be sponsored by like alcohol, tobacco, that kind of stuff. So technically, it's a sponsorship with the Alumni Association. So it's like a Notre Dame alumni and friends and Guinness. So there's always loopholes, and the Catholics always find a way to find loopholes with that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. So speaking of such, I know that you've been to Ireland with your team before, have you not?
We have. We went in we went in 2023. I'm looking at the plaque right now. It was August 2023, and we played the
Well,
day
that's the year I
before
met you.
the
Okay,
football game. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So we played Navy. I won't tell you the score, but it was in the stretch of their. Um, they went two straight regular seasons undefeated, and they were coming off of the back of their. I don't know if they won two or not. This is bad, Gavin Hickey, but their first national championship. Um, so they were a buzzsaw. They were an absolute buzzsaw. But it was a great experience. We had. Um, if you ask Coach Tony Smith at Trinity, he would tell you that it was not the biggest crowd that Trinity has seen for a rugby game. But if you ask any of his players that were there watching, they would tell you that it's the biggest crowd they've ever seen watch a rugby game at Trinity. It was pretty special. There was, I mean, people were up in trees, like people were standing on benches and trash cans, and it was like it looked like a golf gallery. It was about 20 deep all the way around the pitch. It was pretty neat. Other than the outcome, I mean, it's something that we're going to remember and cherish for a long time. And there's rumor. I won't carve this in stone quite yet, but there's rumor that the two teams would return here in 2028. So we're kind of keeping an eye on that as well. We'd love the opportunity to go back if it were to happen again.
Please keep me in the loop, man. Send me a
I
text when you know.
will. I
Because like
will for sure.
I got an excuse to go again. I mean, we did Northern Ireland. We did the Causeway. We did the of course, we did the Bushmill Distillery. Got it. That was on the tour. And yeah, it was a great time. We also went for Coach Clarkey's wedding, which if anybody
Oh,
knows who Alan
awesome.
Clark
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
look the guy up. He's a legend. He's coached all over the world, let alone played for Ireland when they won the World Cup. Huge deal. Massive compliment to be able to go. I mean, in
That's
general,
really cool.
gave us an excuse to go. It was my birthday week. I was a pig, and you know what, and so. Man, couldn't ask for better. And then we went down to Dublin, and that's when I saw all the Notre Dame gear, and I was like, "How funny is that? I'm interviewing Justin next week, and here we are seeing his brand on stuff. This is so good,
That's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool. It was, yeah. It's. I mean, the parallels are obvious, and I think Ireland, or they did that week at least. They really embraced us, and we really embraced them. It was, it was interesting because I was there. We were playing Navy, and their coach Gavin there is an Irishman, and even he would tell you it was surreal to see they changed the name of Dame Street to Notre Dame Street. So they changed all the street signs. They had these giant banners. I mean, I heard that they spent something like $100,000 on the branding and the graphics. It might have even been more than that. But it was surreal to see. It was like being at a football game in the States. It was all Americans just kind of invaded. They said it was the largest single movement of Americans since World War II to Europe since World War
wow.
II. Yeah, so there was, 80,000 fans that came over for this game. So you can imagine for a week, Dublin was just like Americans, which I'm sure a lot of them didn't care for. but
We
but it
left
was
our
just
mark.
we did leave our mark. But I think we've seen rugby drink Chicago out of beer a few times. I don't think football drank Dublin out of beer. I don't think that happened, and that
Yeah,
wasn't going to happen.
I've never seen so much Guinness in all my life, and it is like there's stereotypes for a reason, and they foot the bill. I mean, they
Oh
were
yeah,
on it. Like I'd never seen half pints, right? And I guess the half pint was introduced for the ladies. Um, and I got a history behind it, of course, going there. And I mean, literally, just never seen so much Guinness in all my life. And I will say, those that do go to Dublin, go to Guinness and have a pint because it is it's a new. There's no flavor. There's no aftertaste, I should say. It's different here, and that is you hear it, but it's real. It's super unique. It doesn't punch you in the mouth with an aftertaste like it does here at home. It's just weird. It's unique, and
It's a rite of
honestly,
passage, and you have to do it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, especially if you have any heritage going back to the motherland, you gotta go. You gotta go. No, that's a fun one. What do you got coming up?
So personally, I got vacation starting tomorrow. So it was good that we were able to get this in today. You probably would have had me at the beach or with spotty Wi-Fi up in northern Michigan. We're going to Grand Haven to the Lake Michigan Lakeshore for a week, and then we'll go up to northern Michigan, north of Traverse City, up by Petoskey with extended family for a second week. And then we're off and running. So we'll get back on, the 16th or so, and we'll welcome students. My kids will go to school on the 19th. We'll welcome students back here on the 20th.
Whoa!
And we're straight into it. We're two-a-days for about 4 or 5 days, and then we'll kind of pull off the gas on the Monday leading into our first match on the 29th of August. We'll go to University of Michigan, followed by Indiana Tech's inaugural match with us on Monday, on Labor Day, September 1st, and then we're kind of straight into it. We'll go to Walsh the following Friday, and then it's pretty much weekly from there on out. We've got a couple pesky games. Our schedule's not out yet, so this is news. But we're waiting on a couple pesky dates that have been. The schedule should have been out weeks ago, but it's kind of delayed. But yeah. So what were you going to say?
No. Keep going. I'm excited about this whole like dun-dun-dun. We got inside news.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically we're into our Big Ten schedule at that point. But all to say, like, the table's kind of set. We had kind of our first coach's call our first coach's call, I would say, of the season. We've had some over the summer, but and we got a couple more. Probably while I'm away and leading into that first week, just to make sure we got everything in place. And the team's kind of wrapping up a book club. We read a book this summer together, which was fun and something new for us. We were getting on Zooms once every other week on Sundays, and guys were tuning in from Asia at midnight and Los Angeles at 9 a.m. and Dublin on the train and the UK, back at home. And so it was kind of cool to see where everybody was and sort of have, just that little bit of connection every other week or so. So we're kind of winding that down, but that's a good build into the season. Kind of really honing in on some of our values and what's our team mission going to be and what's our vision for this year and kind of the program going forward. So it's exciting. We had a really good year last year, but sort of the thought has been, and I hate to give Ryan Day credit from Ohio State because he's obviously the rival and the one that knocked us off last year. But I did appreciate, he said that some of his players came to him at spring or summer practices and asked him to take down the national championship signage around the facility. And he was kind of like, well, why would we do that? And he said, well, that was last year's team. They won that. Obviously we're proud of that, but we don't get any extra points. We don't get any extra credit. We need to move forward and go win our own thing. And that kind of resonated. I think it can be, it maybe not easy, but you can kind of rest on your laurels a little bit. We had a good season last year, so everything should be, good again this year. It's not always the case, and we've been bitten by that snake before. So the reminder, or I guess our emphasis right now is looking ahead and kind of taking that next step. We left ourselves a little bit unsatisfied with 15s last year. We got beat in the final against Ohio State as well. And then we were knocked out in the quarterfinals. So there's unfinished business there on on the 15 side. So I think the guys are really motivated and hungry to get straight into it. But yeah, I mean, we're what, less than 3 weeks now from being back together and being full go.
I was thinking earlier that when you said that you have 13 days, if I recall correctly, with these guys before their first game, and I'm like, how the heck is he coaching these guys? And you're doing it Zoom with a book club and I'm sure much more. But like, okay, so what was the book?
I wish I had it with me, but it's called the 7 Commitments of a Great Team by John Gordon. John Gordon's worked with a bunch of teams. He's worked with Clemson football. He's worked with Sean McVay at the LA Rams. I'm sure he's worked with a bunch of other championship teams, but he's written a lot of really good books on leadership and kind of teamwork and, you know, organizational leadership. And it was actually interesting because I was listening to one of his podcasts. He does a really cool podcast, and he was doing a workshop on this book before it was released. He was kind of promoting the book, and he was kind of going through each chapter, and he didn't reveal all 7 commitments. He revealed maybe 4 of them and wanted to keep some secret, but it really resonated because talking with some of the team leadership and just kind of thinking about where we were in our own kind of development as a team, it was perfect. We've got a young group. We've got a really talented group. We had 7 freshmen that featured on our 14 men's sevens team last year. So we got a really good young group come back. We got good, strong upperclassmen leadership. But what we had kind of really said amongst the staff and some of the leaders is like, you can't just say to the young guys, you know, be committed and this is the standard and like, you know, all these things and, you know, we're going to develop them and they're going to grow and, you know, use different buzzwords. We were like, we need to show them like, what does commitment look like? What does it look like to be devoted to this team? What does development actually look like? What's the growth going to look like? What's our, you know, our culture, our identity or our vision or our mission? And actually let's go through the steps of kind of building that all together and creating that all together. You know, because you can shout it in someone's face all the time, or, you know, continue to beat them with a hammer. But unless they really know, like, what's it supposed to look like? How am I supposed to grow? How am I supposed to develop? How am I supposed to mature? You know, what is the standard? What is our mission? And you know, really including them kind of in that exercise too. Where I think, you know, there are always some things that are consistent when we come into the season. You know, here's some of our, you know, quote unquote non-negotiables, or here's some things that I think are our philosophies and our principles. But really, you know, letting the 20-year-olds kind of decide what is it that we believe this team should be and what's the legacy we want to leave behind, you know, and giving them the ownership 100%. Yeah. So that's been a real fun exercise. And I think it's been cool to see, especially some of these younger guys, like really find their voice in this book club. And we, not only are we getting on and having a group discussion, but I'm asking them to submit responses on a Google form kind of privately to me. And I'll like call some of these out on the call. So it's not, you know, completely private, but hearing and seeing some of the things that they're saying and seeing kind of light bulb, you know, come on for them and maybe some moments and things that really kind of, you know, clicked with them in their first year or kind of now going into their second year. It really has been a cool exercise. I think it's something that we'll continue to do. And again, this was something that some of my upperclassmen, they came to me with different ideas of how to engage over the summer, and not to take anything away from them. Their ideas were more like X's and O's, like let's get together and let's go over the playbook and let's, you know, break out into units and we'll do the lineouts and that's all great. And then we are doing some of that stuff. Like we do have the backs leadership group are kind of reviewing our starter moves and are they going to, you know, is this one going to stay the same? And, you know, they'll bring it to me. Hey coach, what do you think about changing this one? And they're working with the backs coaches on that. So they've had, you know, a real good productive summer in that regard, but what they wanted was they wanted a way to connect, and I think this was a good way to connect, and I think it's something that we'll continue to do.
A good call. I mean, because let's be honest, a rugby team that is not connected will not win, no matter how much talent's on that pitch.
No, and I mean I took the initial Crusaders online course when it went from in person to online in the pandemic. I was on the very first one, and that was one of the things that, they do so many things so well, but one of the things that really stood out to me was their commitment to connecting, and it's actually one of the commitments in the book that we're reading, Committing to Connect. So, just little things that we can do. We they probably think it's silly, the guys, but like in team meetings, they're already chatting and they're talking and stuff, but we make them actually get up and go around the room and kind of fist bump and dap each other up and say hello. And, it's intentional. It's not just because, the Crusaders say to do this and it's good. It's so that, when they sit back down and we're reviewing film and the guy across the room just said, maybe kind of points out the mistake that this guy made, or they weren't on the same page, that guy's not going, hey, what the hell, man? They've already made a connection. The guard's down. We're in our judgment-free zone, and everybody's on the same page. And then it's the same thing when we get out on the field. Everyone's connected. We're on the same page, and we're able to kind of center ourselves. So I think that practice is important. So any way we can do it, especially over the summer, and kind of mention the pandemic. I mean, obviously so many bad things came from it, but it gave us the technology like this that we're doing right now, and our ability to connect with people, on the other side of the country, and connect with dozens of people all over the world. So, I've been a little bit like, over the years, kind of like, no, just let them go on their way. We'll see them in the fall. We'll shoot some emails and they can do the workouts and we'll program them. But like, let's leave them alone. And I don't think that asking, for 45 minutes to an hour once every other week on Sunday is too much to ask. And I think it's been pretty well received.
It seems like a great idea, and I'm surprised. People that hear this may take and run because it's a good idea. I know, especially for this generation that we're talking about, because they're so used to being on their phones and the whole, they have FaceTime all the time with each other, where you and I are like, hey, buddy, what's you kind of feel like you're behind the screen, like Wizard of Oz kind of stuff. But and then you put me in front of it and I'm like, okay, now this is almost awkward.
It's funny because I see you see NFL coaches or even college football coaches almost always FaceTime their guys, right? And I'm always like, Jesus, kind of weird. But that's those coaches tying into that generation, right? That's what they do. So it's that's one thing I will say that's kind of interesting about Notre Dame is I know, and again, this isn't taken away from how any other teams or coaches or anybody does it. But some teams have gone to, we're going to do everything over WhatsApp or Team Snap or whatever, the communication is, and it's all over text and apps. And Notre Dame is email, man. Professors, you better email your professors. Your professors are emailing you. There's no Team Snap around here. So it's, you probably listen to psychologists or experts say oh, we got to communicate how they want to communicate. Don't just, not change or, make them conform to you. But I think there's a balance of both. I think that when we want to get a mass communication out and it's involved information, it's going to come out via email, and you better read your email. If it's hey, training's changed and it's 30 minutes before it's about to start because the weather or whatever, that's probably going to go out over a group chat, and we'll get the info out to them quickly. But using Zoom and using FaceTime, and when we do travel, we're on the chats and stuff like that. So I think we've got a nice kind of blend of both. It's when you're in the workplace, your boss probably isn't going to FaceTime you. Your boss is probably going to email you or pick up the phone and call you in your office. It's not going to be a yo, what's up on WhatsApp.
And of course, I'm going back to like imagining my coach paging me.
Yeah.
Because in high school, they just came out with pagers, and I'm thinking, beep, 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 hey, what's this over
That's
here?
hilarious. Oh, that's so good.
Oh man, I love what you've done with the team, Justin, and to know like how you keep up with it. Thanks for sharing, because it's definitely an eye opener on the level that you have to coach, especially in the off season when the guys aren't there versus, club, everybody's around, pro people are typically around, and you're having to do this via Zoom and try to create some sort of camaraderie with a team, because you get them on like, what is that, the 18th of August, and like less than 2 weeks you got them together playing in a competition, and then the season just goes.
Yeah, it's there's no time for a preseason. We get here, they better be fit, they better be connected, they better be ready to go, because it's on. Like there's no campfire songs and kumbayas. We're straight into it. So
right, you're like, I hope you're being honest on your Broncos and not BS.
exactly. Because we'll know pretty darn quick. We'll know in a couple weeks. Yeah.
24 hours later.
Yeah. Yep.
Too
that's
good,
right.
Man. Well, thank you for hanging out before your vacation, man. I'm glad we got to do this, even though I wouldn't mind seeing a beach behind you versus work. So there's that.
I probably would have had to have found like a coffee shop, and I'd be like, huddled up all close, not wanting to disturb anyone around me. But
it would have been fun.
I appreciate you reaching out. It's always good to chat and catch up with you, and I always enjoy our time together.
Yeah, thanks, man. Vice versa. Right it back at you, big guy.
And you look like you're doing well.
Man, I am doing so much better. I mean, there's parts of this autoimmune disease that I have that's it's a nightmare at times, but I get 2 good weeks, and then I get a week of treatment, is what I like to refer to it as. And last week in Ireland was my absorption, if you will. Like, I got treatment, and my body hurts so bad. But you push through. Some things are never going to be the same, but that's life. That's the curveball it presents us.
Well, so, you got a great attitude, man, and that's probably lent itself pretty well to you throughout this journey. So keep it up. I'm happy you're doing well and you look good.
It's easy to keep the attitude around gents like yourself that are pushing through whatever you're going through too. I mean, we're all going through something at some point, and everybody's battling something every day. So I just, mine, and I just keep on keeping on, brother.
Yeah. I love it, man. So good for you, and tell your beautiful bride hello from us as well.
We'll say hi to Sarah.
Great back home. We will. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what, we got to get out there again, so I'll try to give you the heads up when we do. I'm going to guess probably holidays at some point, but I don't know if I want to be in the Midwest in the middle of December either. So
we don't. We get out of here. We get south. So if you're here in December, we probably won't be here.
Like when you're going down south, I could meet you there. It's a lot easier.
Marco Island, book it.
Do it. Do it. Well, thank you for your time, bro. I appreciate you. Man, until next time, let's line something up sooner than later and go from there.
Let's do it again. I appreciate it as always.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate you, sir.
Awesome.
Have a good one.
Love rugby? So does Matt. He is host of the Rugby 100 Club podcast, where Major League Rugby stars tell their stories. But it's more than a podcast, it's a passport. Rugby 100 Club builds epic fan trips to follow your team on the road. Game day tickets included. Tailgates and fan meetups? You bet. Unforgettable memories every single time. Rugby 100 Club, where fandom meets the road.